I'm going to be just reflecting on the past couple of weeks, or the past 18 days or so, while I took off over the Christmas New Year period, and also to talk about what that meant to my staff who also got the same time off. And I want to do this because I think as business owners, we often get stuck in this never-ending cycle of work and trying to make our business a flying success, and we can easily lose sight of what's important. And I know I do that and have done that many, many times over the years. This year, I decided to do something differently, and I want to share my feelings about that, both good and bad. Now I'm back at work and I'm back in the thick of it, so to speak. Okay, so this year I decided to book off 2 weeks, in fact, 18 days. And my goal was to do zero work during that entire period. So typically when I've taken time off for holidays, like many of us business owners, you end up taking work with you, whether it's actually physically, you're taking your laptop and doing work on the beach, or, reading books and making notes and planning for the new year, or brainstorming ideas, putting your quarterly goals into place for the next quarter, or whatever it is that you feel that, oh yeah, now I've got this free time, so to speak. I've got more headspace. I've got more time to think about my business from a higher level. I'm not getting distracted with the day to day. And we see it as a great opportunity to actually work more. And I've done that year after year. I've worked up to the time I've said, I'm going to take this time off now. This is my first day of my holiday. I've worked my ass off until that point, get to that point, and then often I'm exhausted anyway. So go away and often actually getting ill for a few days because my immune system kicks back in with that high level of stress coming up to the end of the year. I feel rubbish. I don't sort of see my family as much as I'd like to because I'm not really feeling up to it. And then I end up falling back into actually doing work anyway and missing out on stuff because of that reason as well. And so that, I think, that is quite a typical scenario. But this year, as I said, I did something very, very different. And what I did was actually to really plan ahead. And I made a conscious decision sometime sort of maybe October, November last year. I can't remember exactly. And I said to myself, I'm actually going to take time off. I'd worked hard last year. It was my most successful year ever in this current business, systems and outsourcing. And I decided that I was due a little bit of leeway and to actually just enjoy some serious time off. And for me, it was a really important year because with COVID, I've not been able to go home to see my family very much. I live in Sweden. My family, my long-term friends all live in the UK. And so I've rarely got to see them over the past few years. But this year, COVID obviously isn't a big thing anymore. And so it was an opportunity to go back and just reconnect with people and spend some real, for a cliche phrase, but spend some proper quality time with the people that I actually love and care about and who are there for me when things go wrong, who I can pick up the phone and speak to, and they help me through the difficult times in business and in life. And I wanted to be able to actually go and see them and just relax and really be present with them and not have half my brain thinking about work and what I'm going to be planning the next morning when I wake up early before everyone else, which is often what I'd used to do. And so in whenever it was, October, November, I made this plan to take time off. So my sort of official year of last year ended on or about the 21st of December. And that was in effect, the end of my year. And I made a decision that was what the date with the business was going to close. But up until that point, I did work hard. I planned, I put the effort in to make sure that the business was doing well, it's profitable, which allowed me to sort of not stress about taking the time off. And then when we got to that point, I actually stuck to it. I managed to actually go back home to the UK. I spent, a couple of great weeks with my mum, living at my mum's house, just chilling out with her and my stepdad. I saw family, Christmas and all that. Got to see loads of friends. I got a lot of time with my son. So in the mornings, I'd wake up, and when I typically maybe be sat in the office, just doing some work, and my wife would be looking after my son. Now we've got two kids. We've got one each to juggle. And but I was just there with my son, playing games, building Lego, doing all that fun stuff that, we get to do at holidays if we actually choose to take time off. And the really important thing to me, and the thing that, no one else would see, and I could lie to myself about this, but typically when I'm sat there and I'm playing with my son, sometimes I'm not really there. I'm there in physically there, but I'm actually thinking about something to do with work. I'm thinking about this challenge I've got in business, or what I'm going to be doing next week or later that day, and I'm not really actually engaging with him and really connected. And this time off and just making that mental decision that I was going to stop and sticking to it allowed me to really actually just spend quality time with him. And I feel that our relationship grew. I mean, he's 6 years old now, nearly 7. And I think these years are so important. And I feel really proud that I actually managed to do it and stick with it. And it wasn't, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it was easy. I mean, maybe some people listening to this might think, well, of course that's what you do. Well, actually, the type of business owner I am is I've thought about business my entire life. It's like the one continuing passion in my life, other than my family, obviously. But like and like switching off from it has never ever happened. Even when I've gone on holiday, whatever, as I said before, it's always been actually a break from the busyness to allow me to work more on the strategy and all the higher level stuff. And so this was a big change for me. And I also had to make peace with myself before I went and did this, and I did a bit of thought work about this and reflection on this before I actually took the time off to say, I'm going to lose some business. And I've recently signed up. At the end of last year, I signed up for a new coaching program, a 12-month mentorship program with a great company, all about sales, about actually getting more people that are in my network, to actually come and engage with us so we can help them. And so there's a big push from that, an accountability side from that mentorship, that I was going to go and do a load of sales calls. I was going to actually, progress leads. I was going to do all this stuff. And so I had to actually myself, again, push back on that and say, you know what, I'm actually okay with the fact I'm not going to do that. And we know that's going to actually affect the potential revenue I could have made if I'd got on the phone and made sales calls. But I had to make peace with myself about that before actually going away. Because if I hadn't, it would be there bugging in the back of my mind the whole time. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not saying I never felt guilty for it when I was away. I'm not saying, I'm 100% got this, right internally as well as externally. But I felt that because I'd actually really made a conscious decision about this, I was okay with it. And I think this will get better as I do more of this, hopefully, over the years to come. And for me, I mean, I felt that this time off this year is one of the most incredible holidays I've ever had because of all this planning I did beforehand to make sure that it actually happened. And one of the things that I often do, and I'm sure I mentioned this before, but being ill when I get back, take time off. But literally, I've been back to the UK, before COVID, and go back for Christmas quite regularly. And I'd arrive back and I'd just like my immune system would kick back in or fail, whichever way it works. And I'd end up being terribly ill for the entire time and like proper flu-like symptoms, sat in bed, just like shivering for the whole time and not seeing anybody anyway. So the time I was meant to be having off with my family, even if I wasn't working, I was doing it because I was ill. I wasn't working because I was ill, not actually spending time off. So this planning ahead and actually winding down before the end of the year rather than scaling up towards the end of the year was, again, a totally different way of looking at what, at my work ethic, if you like. And so the goals that I'm going to set for this year, thinking and reflecting on all the stuff I've on this occasion, is going to be, my goals are going to be on the 30th of November, which is actually my birthday. So it's a nice day to have those goals for, but so I'll be driving hard until then. And then December, like I did this year, but I'll make real conscious effort of actually scaling down, of taking my foot off the gas, of not starting new projects, not getting sucked into things, not chasing shiny pennies at the end of the year, and actually just say, look, it's now time for me to actually relax, spend time, quality time with my family, reconnect with my wider family as I go back to the UK, and actually just re-engage with all of them. And I think for the other thing, so I was going to say was, I also gave my staff 2 weeks off. So the first person booked in their holidays, and we have this policy that 2 people can't be off at the same time. And so someone said to me, look, someone's booked off in the whole of New Year and Christmas. Is there any way we can negotiate that? And I went away and thought about it. And I came back the next day in our daily stand-up and I said, look, all of you book whatever you want off over the Christmas and New Year period, and we'll deal with it. I'll let the clients know whatever our workforce is and what we can cope with and what we can help support people with, and we'll go from there. And everybody booked it off. So for 2 weeks, the business was in effect closed. I actually, I got a whole hand up. I did answer a few WhatsApp messages from my mentorship clients. So I probably worked for a total of about 3 hours in the 18 days, but that's all right with me. And but what it did for us as a business, other than obviously I say we probably lost a few sales and they could have progressed more and got bigger targets at the end of the year or whatever. But it was just for us as a business. I think the benefits far outweigh any negative impact on progression of planning or strategy or actually in closing deals. And I'm going to actually just read some of the comments that my staff made. I asked them just to reflect on having time off and what it meant for them. And I said, look, give us both the good and the bad. It's not all good about having time off. I appreciate that, but there are obviously some benefits to it or some nice things to it. So, and I wanted to hear what they said. Now, just to put this in context, my staff are these 3 people. I'm going to read what they've said, and quite emotive stuff they've actually written. I was actually brought nearly to tears by reading some of this. And they're based in the Philippines. And you'll see from what they've said that they aren't used to this. They aren't used to getting time off. And just to be clear, this is paid time off. So they were paid to be on holiday, which is pretty standard for most countries when you're working as someone as an employee. But my staff are all contractors, so I don't have an obligation to do that. But that is something that I've done from day one, is giving people paid time off, because I want people to be able to relax, see their families. Like one of our values is about we're a team. And one of those things is we look out for each other, and we make sure we highly value friends, family, and health. And that's one of our values that it's written on our website. It's written in our company policy documents. And if I don't stand by that, then it's just words. And so this sort of activity, this giving people paid time off to see their family, and we gave them a big bonus as well at the end of the year. So they've got more, there's a bit more cash to actually spend on their festive seasons with their families as well. So they were able to really go away and enjoy stuff and not have to worry about work. And I just want to read a couple of these because I was moved by these, and I want anyone out there who's listening to this who works with virtual staff on a contractual basis, who doesn't actually really think about them as a human being. It might sound a bit weird, but you'll see some of the comments, where I've got that expression from. Really think about them as a person, that they have needs, they have health, they have family, just the same as any other type of employee would have. And actually, so, but also if you're not giving them paid time off, it's very hard for them. They're going to be needing that work to be able to support their family. That's why they're working. But actually, what they really want to do is just actually spend some time with their family. So let's go. So here's the first one. I'm not going to give names because I don't want to embarrass the persons who they are. But my first member of staff, and sorry if my phone's going in the background. So the first member of staff. So the first question was, what does taking 2 weeks off mean to you? The opportunity, what does it mean for you and your family? And she said, taking this time off means the world to me. Before working with Steve, I was forced to report to work on every single holiday or every single Christmas, I think she means, which means I missed a lot. 11 years of working and 11 holidays or 11 Christmases missed, to be exact. Family reunions and all the rest, and that was super sad. In honesty, I was crying every holiday, knowing that I couldn't spend the time off with my family, but I had to endure because I needed the money and I needed the job. And imagine working, but your mind is on your family. It's hard to focus. Enduring, being unable to concentrate on your work and forcing yourself to go to work is definitely not a dream job. Now, for 2 consecutive years, I've been so happy and grateful to spend it with my whole family, especially because my parents are getting old. I really want to spend more time with them, and not to mention we get paid time off plus a bonus so I can treat my parents and my siblings and buy them gifts. Having this opportunity to go off also means a chance to reflect, to refresh and get energized. So when I start working in the new year. So that for me was just priceless. I mean, that was the best decision ever to give that person time off, because obviously it means the absolute world to them. So let's read the second one, slightly shorter. This means, so again, taking time off. This means This makes me love the company and the team I work with even more. Not just because Steve allows us to go off during the holidays, but the fact that he treats us as humans and not just as employees that need to work for him. It says a lot about what kind of person he is, and because he cares for the whole team and the entire team cares for the company. One of our company values is we are a team. We look out for each other and our family, health and happiness. Knowing Steve really stands by these values and does not just print them makes me think so highly of him and the company. This is the kind of job that every employee would want to be a part of and would want to keep forever. And next one. So I feel this is a bullet list. So I feel valued, being able to take time off, allow me to recharge and regroup. Coming from my previous company, employee position was rarely allows a person to take leave off. This is a benefit that I really appreciate. It keeps me sane, knowing that I can take time off whenever I need to. It also gives me joy to be a part of a company that respects and values my personal values outside of work, i.e., family time, overall well-being, etc. And it allows me to be present and really spend quality time with my family on holidays and on special occasions, and it takes the pressure off getting back to work. And then lastly, final one here. Benefits. It's aligned with our company value. We are a team. We look out for each other and our family. It's giving employees a chance to spend quality time with their families, enjoying the time off. It allows employees to de-stress from the year of hard work and increase motivation to work harder. It's physically and mentally healthy, especially for us working from home, a really great chance to refresh ourselves. But disadvantages in this last one here. There's loads of delayed tasks after getting back from holidays, and the momentum and productivity is delayed or being put aside. So of all the people, obviously, that answered, one person who did reflect on some of the negatives, but overall, I mean, that to me is absolute gold. Having given my team that opportunity to just pay time off with their families, to enjoy some time off, reading those things makes me think it was the absolute 100% right decision, regardless of any impact it will have on our business. My clients, I had to, let them know we were going to be basically closing down over Christmas. I had to deal with any issues with that. But that's going to be a policy of ours going forward, and we'll just put into our terms and conditions that that's what we're going to do. I know for all businesses that's not possible, but wherever you can, if you can give people time off, or if you can't give everyone time off like I did at the same time, then maybe stagger it so people do get some good time off with their family. And I know when I used to work in the hospital, we weren't able to all take off 2 weeks over Christmas. I don't think the hospital patients would have been too happy if everyone disappeared. So there are obviously jobs where you can't actually do it in the way that we did it, but being mindful of it and giving your staff at least the opportunity to take some of that off to really spend time with their families, and maybe rotating it year by year so they get it every other year, will mean the absolute mean the world to them. So I strongly encourage you to think about it. It's difficult as a business owner. I've worked so hard over the years to build what I've built, and actually totally switching off and not doing all those things I discussed before, which I typically would do, the higher level stuff, while I had that extra headspace, was challenging. It wasn't easy to sit on my hands, so to speak, and not just, start getting out my notepad and start scribbling ideas. And I'm not saying I didn't do it at all ever. Sometimes great ideas popped into my head, or when I was going for a run, I'd think of some solution to a problem that just popped in there, and I want to capture that. But I didn't let myself get dragged in and dragged away from the holiday that I was hopefully or meant to be having. And I feel that overall, on balance, the weight is definitely into the positives, both for myself, but also for my staff, and therefore going forward for my company, because I'm pretty confident that giving that opportunity to my staff will make them more loyal, and keeping good staff for the long term is one of the most valuable things I think you can do as a business owner, especially when you're small like me and you're still growing, and you haven't got massive amounts of team and massive amounts of staffing in place to cope with people coming and going, whatever. I want to keep the people I've got. It's a very close team. It's a very competent team. And the longer they stick with us and the more motivated and energized they are to actually do good work, the better, as far as I can see. So on reflection, I think it was definitely a good thing. Cool. I hope you found that interesting. And please do leave us a review. Any comments on this would be absolutely fantastic. If you're watching this on social media, then please do hit us up with your comments. I'd love to read them. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then please do leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Give us some stars. 5 is always nice. And please do subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.